I was gonna record this because I was getting it while I was taking another stroll. Okay, period. Clock it. Yeah, so I was getting this download as I was taking a stroll, and I was gonna record it, but it was just like a little too like much commotion going on outside, and I like to focus when I'm outside. I don't know, like recording while I'm like on the go is not for me. Okay, I like to be nice and aware when I'm in public, unless I'm filming like something for cinematic reasons. But anywho, child, y'all people have something to learn about judging people off of how they look and basing that off how you're going to treat them, or how you're going to treat them and how you're going to let them treat you. I feel like lately I've been making sure that I am communicating with the Most High God, my angels, guides, and ancestors, and basically kind of asking them, I'm naturally very spicy. Like, I accidentally say very spicy things. Like, the way that I speak, the way that I express anything is extremely honest, and it's not in a malicious, brutal kind of way. It's just more in a neurodivergent, I'm saying exactly what I think sort of way, and it's very logical. I've learned how to consider social cues, and I'm not really big on masking, but I have learned a lot about like social cues and just like utilizing like empathy in a helpful way and not a harmful or limiting way for myself. So I'm not trying to ever do the work for other people. I'm learning how to I'm learning that that's something I must unlearn. People pleasing was taught to me. It did not come to me naturally at all. It was indoctrinated. It was forced onto me since I was a little kid. Everyone around me, I think, could easily see that I was the kind of person where I was very different than most people around me. So they immediately started to indoctrinate me into the people pleasing. I remember I have an aunt that always used to say, kill him with kindness, girl, kill him with kindness. And it used to kind of irritate me when she would say it to me, because she wouldn't say it to other cousins or other cousins who were just like really fucking mean. And in my head, I'm just like, okay, so this individual needs to be reprimanded. This individual needs to be reminded to be kind. I'm kind already. I get upset when I'm facing injustice or bullying, and that is valid. And I realized that I grew up kind of thinking, no, my aunt was right. She's right. I need to be kind and be kind. And I'll say we were both right. One, I think it's important to remember kindness even when you're getting done wrong, but also to not accept bullying. So, I just want to say that for the people who were forced to be people pleasers and to, be like this wounded empath where you constantly have to hold other people's emotions and entertain other people's emotions. I hate that. It's very draining. I don't like it in any way. It does nothing for me. I'm done doing it. I had to ask God, like, okay, is this too spicy? Because this feels like my normal temperament, and I don't want to be offensive to God. Okay. And God said, no, you're fine. Try not to be so spicy with just like everyone. Just kind of just gauge that a little bit. And I asked God, okay, so what if I'm being spicy with people who are disrespecting me? Is that okay? And I even like pulled on Maud's energy, like Maud, to let me know, like, is that okay? Is that balanced? Is that just? I got the biggest yes, like yes. And so now I feel comfortable moving forward, fully being myself, y'all. And that's kind of crazy to think that it took me to 30 years old to just basically ask God, like, is there something wrong with my personality? I feel like I've done that with God, like in different ways for different reasons. And I always receive like no, but I didn't want to like, it's not that I didn't trust God's answer, but it's just like, okay, so if it's nothing wrong with the way that I am, and people seem to love me to the point where they actually copy me all the fucking time, like in the creepiest way, right in my face, like they're trying on my aura to go copy and go, project to others in my energy, like, then what is the issue? And it's just like, because you are too nice to those people is pretty much what I'm receiving today. And I just wanted to share that because I feel like, I don't know who can relate to that, but I feel like it was so hard for me to figure that out about myself. I'm just like, I never understood how God wanted me to handle disrespect, because I think I just take it too far. That's why I don't get mad personally. So if anyone wanted to know what my temperament is like with that, I will tell you. I guess I should tell you right now. I grew up in such a way where I was very prissy and like very adventurous. Like I wasn't as afraid to get dirty, very curious, very imaginative child, but also very, prissy girly naturally, But I only had brothers and I was surrounded by my brothers all the time. My mom was like the only like feminine energy that I had like constantly in my life. And she was very busy all the time with her own life. She had friends and she had a job she loved. She had a man, and she was my mom, and she was helping me become the woman that I am today. But, it was only kind of part-time that she was available for me for that. And the rest of my life was spent, getting honestly tortured, brutalized, beat up, and bullied by everyone around me because I was the way that I was, which is quiet, intelligent. I spoke different. I looked different. I acted different. And when I say look different, I just mean that, like, for example, on one side of my family, if everyone's light skinned, I'm like more brown, but my hair texture is different. And on one side of my family, everyone's dark and beautiful and, and has a certain hair texture, but I'm lighter than them. And you get what I'm saying? So on everywhere I went, it was just people would, I guess, only see me for my differences and never try to see how they could relate to me. That's not my fault. That is a projection that was projected onto me. Okay, period. I will never take accountability for any of that foolishness another second in my life. I feel so free because of that. And I will touch back on the bullying, the torture. This came at the hands of my own brother, okay? My step siblings. I'm gonna get into this a little later, but I will say that, like, my brother, who I was the closest with, who I loved, adored, would have done anything for, I protected, like I was the big sister. He was my older brother. He used to look at me, treat me, and beat me like he literally hated me and wanted to see me no longer, okay? I hate to say it, but it's giving Cain and Abel, and I can't, it's been very hard to process and grieve that. That's why I want to just kind of talk to you guys about that like a little bit later when I am able to like formulate thoughts and feelings and lessons learned. But I will say that that's how I grew up. With that being said, I know how to fight to the death, baby. I don't got all these scars on my hand, on my face. I don't have these scars for no reason. I don't have it just because someone felt like putting their hands on me or me being clumsy. It came from me also fighting to death with my own brother, with him trying to harm me in a very terrible way, unfortunately. I don't care who. I feel like I'm picking up on energy of like, she always want to be the right one. Look, I don't care about none of that. My life is my life. This is what happened. I don't have no reason to make it up. Everyone knows this. Everyone who was anywhere around me growing up knows this exact thing. Okay, so I'm not worried about anybody's opinion. Okay, but I will say, it's something about fighting with my hands that I deeply enjoy because it was learned. My first fight I ever had was a girl who was many years older than me, a lot bigger than me, who was once my best friend, and out of nowhere she like hit puberty, then she hated my guts and she just wanted to beat me. And I feel like my brother always kind of like took everyone's side but mine. He was like a sellout. He was like not loyal at all to his own baby sister, which is crazy. But anyways, everybody has their own internal struggle. Totally forgiven, no hate, just reality, right? But I'm saying that to say, I was taught how to fight and defend myself by my Filipino nanny, my mom's friend, who she allowed to stay with us, and she watched us. She was our nanny when my mom was away. But she's the one who told me, if you want to win in a fight, or you want to be able to confidently like defend yourself, like just get really mad, like get all your anger that you have felt from being targeted, bullied, feeling scared, unsafe, or whatever, and just like channel all that and just go crazy. And that's exactly what I did. That's what I did, and I won my first fight. I dragged that hoe all over my yard. I dragged her in the house. I laid it on that girl to the point where she wanted to fight again. She needed a round 2, and I think I did her dirty the second time. And I'm saying that to say, once that happened for me, I learned, like, being deadly, it comes very natural to me. It's not hard to get my way. I'm not gonna hold y'all. I'm like on some Christian shit when it comes to fighting. And I'm not talking about like form or the fact that I want to fight guys and shit. Like, I don't try to do all that. Like, I'm a lady. I don't do all that. But what I'm saying is, I can. Do I want to? Hell no, I don't. So I'm saying that to say, I have no problem being nasty if it means protecting myself or my family or people I love. But I'm never going to just put myself in the position to experience that for no reason. So I just wanted to just say that as well. I'm not sure how I'm going to fit this into the download, but for some reason I feel like this had to be said. And this is another thing that I won't constantly address. Will I elaborate and corroborate for the sake of like teaching and like mentoring and helping other people? Hell yeah. But I'm not going to keep telling lowlifes, okay, people who are beneath God's mission, okay, and chooses to live under in the underworld of God's plan. They're not going to keep getting an explanation out of me as to, won't keep trying me. I feel like that was another part of what happened to me yesterday when the guy basically tried to aggressively come at me and follow me. I feel like that was God's way of testing my faith, but also, if I would have turned around like, what the hell do you want? I feel like that could have worked and that would have been fine in that moment. But I also didn't want to possibly, you get what I'm saying? Me personally, I'm in a position where I feel like a lot of people are unfortunately wishing me like terrible things, and not just wishing, they're actively spending their little bit of coins, whatever they can scrape together or scam out of the next person, just to take it to their, their their brujeria, their medicine woman, their root worker, whoever they go to, just to show them my picture, give them my name, give them my energy, and say, I want to cause this girl a deathly accident. I want to cause this girl chaos. I want to cause this girl this or that. I'm not ever trying to be in a position where, one, I know God's going to protect me in that moment, period. However, I know that sometimes God uses you to show certain examples, and I'd rather just be God's example of, I put it in God's hand, God protected me, instead of I turn around and said, what the fuck you want, bro? You better back the fuck up, because I will square up with your ass right here, or I will hurt you, or blah, blah, blah. And have some guy just get to wailing on me, or pull something out on me, or whatever. And then I have to tell my story with a $150 on my face. And I have to tell my story from the emergency room. You get what I'm saying? And God using me for that. You know what I'm saying? I never know how God's going to work. But one thing I know is God told me that I will not be harmed anymore. And I believe that. So that's what I meant by God's promise. I'm talking about my personal relationship with the Most High God. What me and God have discussed for my life. All of that is over for me. No one's getting the best of me. No one's putting me in a, vulnerable, weird situation, because that's not my portion. That's why I was confused about why it happened. So yeah, I think I'm just gonna edit this up and we'll make it work. And another thing, but not for real, I feel like y'all be more worried about how people look when y'all being some fucking haters. Y'all need to pay attention to the fact that y'all let people with pretty privilege abuse you guys. Y'all don't care about y'allself. Y'all let people treat y'all like trash if they look the part, if they have the materials. And that is very foolish and weak. And bitch, I'm judging you. Bring back shame and bullying, because that's lame for anyone character-wise. And y'all should also stop looking at people and thinking that they're a mark, or they're softs, or they're an easy target, because God is really going to make y'all an example. Sometimes y'all really got the right person for real. Like, y'all really do. And y'all don't even be knowing it, which is crazy. Like, y'all think y'all having a bad day, or you think you're mad and you think you're finna get over on somebody. You never know. You really just shouldn't assume that about a person. Like, one thing I noticed about living in LA and so much illusion being here is that, like, a lot of us transplants or whatever, we come from places usually for like more opportunities and stuff, but for people such as myself, we also come here for safety. Okay, because some of us come from cities where it's popping in its own way and there is lots of movement, you know what I'm saying? However, maybe it's just not the movement for that particular person, but sometimes we do move for safety. I'm not saying that LA is safe or safer than St. Louis, but one thing I can say in my experience is that it totally is safer than St. Louis. It's way safer, way more safe. In St. Louis, I've almost literally, this isn't even a hyperbole, I'm not exaggerating. If you know, you know, like drop it in the comments if you know, baby. Let's get story times going in the comments, period. I want to see it, okay, all my St. Louisans. But if you know, you know. I've almost lost my life countless times just being a bystander in St. Louis. Getting into it with people is just as dangerous. People don't usually like seek out like personal like issues as much as people do out here, but that's because in St. Louis people know better. It's like people are going to carry it out to the full extent there, and they're going to do it whether they're on their own or along with other people. Most of the time it's like, you know, emo loner central, you know, in St. Louis, everywhere. It's just a thing, you know, it's just a smaller town, but still metropolitan town kind of vibe. And you wouldn't know if you're not big on traveling. And unfortunately, a lot of people that are natives here aren't that big on traveling, which sucks because all they know is the LA culture and the LA way, which is fine. It's beautiful. It has its own little vibe or whatever, but it can be very damaging to one's own growth in the mind or whatever. So saying all that to say is LA is way safer than St. Louis. There's gang stalking and cult group clique culture everywhere you go. And even though LA is like this crazy vortex and hub for like the darkest type of things, please just ask somebody about my hometown and look it up. I'm not bragging, I'm just stating the fucking truth, like the literal truth. Like I literally cannot stress that enough. So that's another thing that I was getting as a download. And also I do want to touch back on and circle back around to the fact that you guys be like giving pretty people too much power, because people be broke, people be dusty, people be dumb, lame, and a bunch of other things, but they might just look good or have a nice outfit, happen to have a nice outfit, or happen to, you know, look nice. Just because a person know how to probably, you know, keep an outfit together and maybe look nice at the most, maybe half the time it's NPC, half the time it's not always what it's giving. I'm not saying all beautiful people are evil. I'm definitely not saying that, because I am a person that people deem attractive. What I'm saying is people give me the space to treat them any kind of way. I can have my way with people in the craziest ways, but I do not take that opportunity. That is the point that I'm trying to get at. And you guys need to do better, because y'all be hating more than y'all be watching y'all back. So maybe you need to watch your back and chill on hating a little less, because all of us ain't out here, you know, everybody out here is not on that low level that you think they are. So just like, keep that in mind, be blessed, and I'm really done with the channeling messages now. Y'all, please excuse how I'm getting these downloads off, but God is telling me to literally get them off in the best way I know how, which is just picking up this phone and recording. But I keep seeing, like, every time I, like, you know, the Most High and my guides bring me back to this lesson of what's happening in this physical 3D, like this, like kind of like in this matrix, in this world that we live in, right? Every time they bring me back to this full circle lesson, I always see that like GIF or whatever, or GIF, whatever, how you say it. And I like saying GIF. GIF sounds like cornbread, but anyways, the GIF or whatever is, what the fuck is her name? Carly Red? I don't know what her name is, but when she's pointing to the paper and she's like, it's lies, guys, it's all lies. Like, that's how I feel like I'm talking to y'all when I'm telling y'all what I'm learning and remembering, and like what I'm recalling, because it really is a remembrance, but it's also learning. I'm humble enough to say that I'm also learning in this life as well, you know, forever a student, right? But I was always thinking, when things were being done in this physical reality, that like it was so, right? If something were to go wrong, or if someone was threatening me, like if the illusion is weak, sometimes I can see right through it easily. But if the illusion is strong, for whatever reason, whether somebody's working with a group or an entity, or they're doing their own stuff to make their illusion strong, either way, it's illusions every time. Like in the fucking movie The Matrix, the way they portray it in The Matrix is just so like, I don't know, they portray it in such a way where it's like it feels real, but they do it so like it's not very relatable, I think, in real life, because they're on this ship, Nebuchadnezzar, and they're ripping cords out of their neck. Like, it's not relatable at that point. But a way that makes it relatable, because it really is a fucking guidebook, as they just complicate it because they stole the story anyway and they knew what they were doing with that. But it's all illusion, all of it, the good and the bad. Is what you choose to recognize as truth that makes it truth for you. That's your power. That's God-given. And that's what makes it trippy. That's why if you ever had like a really transcendental experience, or like a very consciously like sensitive experience where you felt yourself like instantly manifesting and you got scared, so you started manifesting kind of negative things or just seeing crazy things because of your mind, that's what the goal always was, for you to see that like pretty much it's all an illusion. You have to be grounded enough in your own personal power and what you know, okay? Because knowledge will never change. The truth of the light, God's word, will never change. Never, never, never. So you have to, like, that has to be at the core of you. You know, like when you go train to be a yogi or a sensei or whatever, or you learn under a sensei how to be a fighter, how to be this weapon. It's like people always thinking about how to break people in a traumatic way, but sometimes you have to break the mind when it comes to discipline, and that comes by just like patterns, pattern recognition, like repetition. So God will have you do something over and over and over again. The most work God will put you in is like, the worst it will get for you is literally writing. Like, you know how you used to have to write something? I know I had to do that in elementary school. You get in trouble. I will not talk back to the teacher, or I will not talk back, or whatever, like a million times. That's what it's like. It's not hard, it's just tedious. So I've learned, like, it really is an illusion. I'll share an example with you guys. I have a couple people in my life right now who are hell-bent into being nosy as fuck about what the fuck I got going on. And it's a lot of people like that, but I'm focusing on these two specific people because one person I know, the other person I don't know. But these are people that have been scheming on me and what I have to offer, whether it's physical abundance or spiritual abundance. They want to extract what they can out of me. They can't. They have no access at all. But they are spinning the illusions as hard as they can. It's like if they can't get anything, they want me to know I'm watched. We can see you. We keeping up with you. We know what you're doing. Okay. Enjoy the show. And that was that's all I wanted to say about that at this point. That's my thought on illusions as well at this time.